Aloha. Welcome everyone to the Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum Education Webinar Series, where we discover and investigate a range of topics, including aviation aeronautic innovations, World War II Pacific theater history, and much, much more. My name is William Spincola. I am the Senior Education Manager here at the Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum, and I'll be your moderator today.
Load screen.
We are joined by our guest speaker, Charlie Morris, a pilot with Hawaiian Airlines. You'll get to know him much more in just a moment. Thank you, Charlie, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Spin.
Outstanding, outstanding. We're very happy and have you with us. I'm proud to have you be able to talk about this great topic today. And you're a long ways from Honolulu. Where are you at right now?
Yeah, Spin. Yeah, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to chat with the group here today. I'm calling in from Rarotonga Airport in the South Pacific here in the Cook Islands, at the Hawaiian Airlines Rarotonga Airport office. So here on a personal trip, but was graciously offered by our fellow Hawaiian Airlines staff to use their facilities. So pretty neat being out here. Beautiful area. I highly recommend if anyone gets a chance to come out here to.
Well, being an airline pilot, we get to travel. It's outstanding. So we'll get to know Charlie and hear more from him in just a moment. Again, happy to have you, Charlie, with us. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we'll get started. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Our mission is, our museum, Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum, is located in the state of Hawaii on a historic Ford Island, right in the very center of the famous Pearl Harbor estuary on the island of Oahu. It is our museum's mission to steward the history of America's first aviation battlefield of World War II. Today's topic is the 787 Dreamliner, the newest addition to Hawaiian Airlines fleet. Our guest today, as you've heard, is Charlie Morris, a Hawaiian Airlines pilot, and soon future Dreamliner pilot as well. He's going to help us get acquainted with him and this incredible new aircraft that is the newest addition to Hawaiian Airlines' 94-year legacy. So let's get started. Charlie, what's so special? Well, first, before we talk about the Dreamliner, can you tell us how you became a pilot?
Yeah, absolutely, Spin. Kind of a long road. I come from a military family, so my father actually was a naval aviator in the Vietnam War, and then subsequently worked at an Air Force base in Japan, which is where I was born. So kind of aviation is in my blood, both through family and through the engine runs at Yokota Air Base in Japan all night long while I tried to sleep down the runway.
So early memories of aviation, your father flying and being involved in aviation. Outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that air show exposure as a kid was kind of how I got into the interest. And then when I moved to Hawaii at a young age, I decided to take some flying lessons, and so that was kind of the beginning of it all. And
C number 8.
Got to.
Yeah, I think got to. We want to show some folks some images we have here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it's not too embarrassing.
No, hopefully not. How long were you in Japan for?
Yeah, so I was actually in Japan for the first 17 years of my life. Didn't do much flying. Yep, there I am as a naval aviator, apparently wearing the looks like a survival
flight suit. There you go.
Looks like a cross between a NASA astronaut and a survival suit or something in the winter.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. And looks number 7.
So yeah, there's me and my first model airplane. That's a photo in Japan. I think that was shortly before the inaugural flight, and then also shortly before the last flight, which was when it crashed into a tree there.
Oh my gosh. Well, I built model airplanes growing up too. So,
yeah, so had the, absolutely. I think every kid that wants to fly, has has at some point done something with model airplanes. But yeah, no, just got the bug early on and decided
And
to take
then
some flying lessons in college. And
you found your way to the Air Force and the Air National Guard, number 6.
I did. I absolutely did. So shortly after my move to Hawaii, after a few years of working in the industry, I was able to have the privilege of applying and being accepted by the Hawaii Air National Guard to fly the F-22 Raptor, the premier air dominance fighter in the inventory right now. So that's kind of how I got my professional career started. You can see a photo there of one of our annual photo profiles there.
Here we go. Looks like you're on the flight deck of Airbus. Is that?
Yeah. So there you go. So about halfway through my F-22 full-time career, I was able to transition over to Hawaiian Airlines. And that looks like, yep, that's me in the A330. That's actually me flying. I went to the University of Arizona, so that's me chartering an airplane for the University of Arizona football team.
All right, outstanding. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun, absolutely. And let's see number 2, if we could. Number 2. There we go. Another Airbus. So,
yeah,
Charlie, how long have you been with the Hawaiian Airlines?
Yeah, I've been there about 7.5 years, going on year number 8 this summer. So, so far, 8 wonderful years with the company. Been on the A330 almost the entire time, and then recently transitioned to the 787 Dreamliner here this past April.
Now, say number 1, please. See number 1. There we go. So let's talk about this. That's what our talk is going to focus on now. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner. What makes this aircraft so special as a airliner and so important to Hawaiian Airlines? Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, looking at the photo, it's a beautiful airplane. That's number 1 at the top of the list. But a short number 2, shortly behind number 1, is obviously the efficiency, the safety, the reliability, and kind of the novelty of a new airplane at Hawaiian. So, all in all, I think the main points to hit home are the composite material technology that Boeing has put into what Boeing commercial airplanes put into the 787. So, majority composite airplane, extremely reliable and efficient GE next generation engines. So we are definitely excited to introduce that into our fleet. Our entry into service coming up here in April 15th being our first flight. And so
well,
initially
talk about that CFRP, that carbon fiber reinforced polymer, and then the GE next generation jet engines. Just those 2 components alone, what does that do for the Dreamliner? Why is that special?
Yeah, that's a great question, Spin. And the answer to that is this is the first transport category airplane to not rely on engine bleed air, for pressurization, for air conditioning, for heating. And so that actually allows for increased efficiency so that we can use the engine for other things. So basically, what that translates to is less fuel burn due to the engine not working as hard. And so it's heavily reliant on electrics. It's got an incredible electric architecture that runs the airplane in terms of cabin air and what most airplanes rely on for bleed air. Ours has been replaced with electrics.
Well, with all of this high tech on the aircraft and more efficient engines and lighter airplane, are you able to fly higher and further than before? Absolutely.
So we are certified up to 43,000 and some change feet. We'll probably just cap it right at 43, which is higher than most transport category airplanes nowadays. For example, the A330, our current wide-body aircraft for international operations, international and mainland operations, can only go up to 41,000. So this will add a little bit of fuel savings. Yeah, so we can fly higher and even farther. So it's easily got legs to reach longer distances up to 15, 17 hours. Uh,
That
the
puts
jury's
the
still out.
whole, well, it puts the whole Pacific Rim and even transpolar destinations within range of Honolulu.
Absolutely. We're currently, not scheduled to do any transpolar operations, but for now we're gonna slowly introduce our existing destinations. This airplane wants to fly long legs. It wants to stretch its wings. It wants to
Number 9.
to go high and travel long distances. So, you know, um, initially we'll be doing West Coast operations, but
Number 9.
eventually it's going to stretch its legs and do New York's, Australia's, and hopefully into Asia in the near future.
Wow. Well, that's very impressive. Actually, can we see number 9, please? There we go. It's a really pretty picture of points, Jet. Look at that. Higher flying, faster flying, more efficient fuel burn, longer range. And that's all awesome. As a pilots, we can geek out about that. But for our passengers on Hawaiian's new Dreamliners, what can they expect?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's what we care about is passenger safety, passenger comfort as the top two priorities here. And so what the customer is going to see in terms of the increased quality of service, quality of journey really is you're gonna hear a quieter cabin. You're gonna notice an increase of cabin air filtration, and a big foot stomper is that the cabin pressure differential is going to be a lot higher, meaning a much tighter fuselage, a much tighter body to be able to keep all that air from escaping. So we are seeing cabin altitudes of 6,000 feet up at 43,000 cruising altitude. So that is at least 2,000 feet lower than most other airplanes. So we're really looking forward to
for the passengers. They'll just be more comfortable and less humid, I would imagine, or less dry.
Well, it's more comfortable, but you're gonna feel less jet lag at your destination, and that's a huge selling point.
Can we see number 11, please, Ashley? Yes. Look at that. So that looks like the main cabin. So you're going to have 3 abreast, or three, and 3, so 9 abreast with some.
That's right. 3, 3, and 3. A total of about 266 seats in our premium and economy cabin. So the nice thing about our premium and economy cabin on this airplane is that the design was carefully thought out by local artists, and the design is very, very intentional. You can see kind of that. You can see the colors that have the ability to change in accordance with the destination's sun rise and sunset to kind of help you adjust to the new time zone. And the main cabin ceiling, you can tell, it kind of mimics that open sky and helps you adjust. So you can see maybe in another picture, you'll be able to see some koa wood panels, some carpeting.
Let's see. There's the nighttime. Wow, look at that. So you're gonna have stars. Look at that.
Yep. So that's a shot of our premium cabin of the Leihoku suite. So you can see kind of that constellation of stars up in the ceiling.
How about number 17? That looks like our fabric you were talking about. How rich that looks. Very nice. Let's see. Number 12, please. So that's a close-up of, I assume that's standard seating, but those seats look very ergonomic, like I've never seen before.
They are, and what my understanding is that their ergonomics are even increased even more than the 330 and the 321 series airplanes. So they're going to be contoured, increased or improved contour for the back and armrests as well.
Wow. And the cabin windows seem larger. Throwback to maybe old DC-8 days. A bigger window to let more light in and be more comfortable, it looks like.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So they are one of the largest windows in the transport category airplanes, and it's hard to see there in the upper left of this photo right now, but there's actually electronic dimmers. You'll notice there's no window shades. So anybody on the anybody on this webinar that's flown in a 787 has probably experienced this before, but it's a great feature to dim and undim your windows, and that actually saves on weight, so we don't have to install shades in the airplane as well.
Wow. Now you talked about premium seats, so let's look at slide number 13, please. Wow, look at that. So that's, I'm assuming that's premium seats up in the front of the cabin.
Yeah, that's right. So we have 34 premium seats in the front portion of the aircraft, under the Leihoku suites sets, and you can see that looks like about mid-cabin-ish there. I'm not able to see the whole picture, but yeah, that looks like the two middle seats, which a really neat feature of this is you can lay them down flat, and then you can actually have sort of a, kind of a double bed, full-size bed set up.
Wow.
For the middle for couples traveling together.
That's very impressive. Let's see number 14, please. We've got another shot of that. So that's like a wider view of that cabin. Wow. And the colors are very attractive too.
Yeah, they do a really good job. I am no seat designer or cabin designer, but they do a really good job at making that kind of neutral, wood tones and island specific colors. Just as a side note, it's been interesting. So I did seat testing as a volunteer at corporate headquarters. So, we had, 5 or 6 different types of, cabin seating, and we sat down and at each one for an hour and kind of, took a nap, and we all voted, and this was the result. So I think most people voted for this, and the passengers are really going to enjoy it.
So the Hawaiian Airlines has a designer to help them colors and textures and materials, and then Hawaiian Airlines staff came together to help actually, as people, sit down in these things to see what really works and fits and doesn't. And that's very good. A lot of thought went into this.
That's right. There was a lot of thought to this, and there's a lot of stuff going on, in backroom channels that I'm not involved with, but I know it was, years in the making.
Absolutely. Can we see main cabin picture number 20? Here's a passenger sitting down. Looks like there's those big windows we talked about. I can see the dimmer switch. It looks like there's going to be like a screen in the seat.
No, this is a great picture because you can actually have some relative sizing here. So, you can kind of see the size of her headphones and the seat back, and then her TV screen. So the window is visibly large, larger than
beautiful.
And then you can see the touch screen that she's touching is significantly larger than our A330 fleet. So that's going to be really nice for in-flight entertainment.
And just looking at the contour of the seat, it does look very comfortable. And again, a lot of thought went into that. Very impressive. I think that the Hawaiian Airlines design team should be very proud. This looks good, and I'm, for one, very excited to be able to go fly in the cabin of this airplane, see what that's like. Now, talk a little bit about the flying. You're a F-22 pilot and an Airbus pilot, and there's other civil and military aircraft you have in your background. But the Boeing 787 is new, so are you doing training right now to fly this airplane?
Absolutely. So we have already qualified 2 crews. So
number 4, please.
Yeah, actually, let me back that up. So
number 4, Ashley. There you go.
Yep. There's me in our simulator facility. So I've had the privilege to be selected as one of 9 initial cadre instructors for the 787. So wow. Myself and 8 other folks, along with management, we've been working real hard since about April to stand up this program. And so we have been using this sim that you see here on this slide, every day, about 21 hours a day.
Wow.
We've been running this qualifying crews to certify them in the airplane. So so far we've put through about 6, and we have another about 10 to 15 coming up next month, and it's just going to increase, 10, 15, 20, 30 different pilots in the sim starting next month. But
Shirley,
it's an incredible machine.
You're going to be a 787 pilot and an instructor pilot as well?
That's correct. Yep. So yeah, I'm certified to fly the airplane, but I'm also an instructor, which is actually pretty rewarding. Keeps you on your toes, keeps you proficient and current. Yeah.
And when you teach the subject, you yourself learn more about it as well. That's, as pilots, we all know that's critical. Can we see slide number 3? I think we have a picture. That's inside the simulator. I'm assuming your training.
Yeah, that's right. That's right inside the simulator. That's Captain Andrew Dudgeon there on the in the left seat. We were simulator partners going through the Boeing manufacturers course back in April. So Boeing commercial airplanes, they actually supplied instructors to come out and teach the initial cadre of Hawaiian instructors. So that was following our final flight of a month and a half of training in that simulator. There.
Wow. Well, the flight deck looks unlike anything, I think it's come before it. It's beautiful. Just the ergonomics, where everything is set out. It's very, seems like a very comfortable area to be able to work in, to fly in. So I see 1, 2, 3, I see 4 flat screens in front of us, or in front of you, in a yoke. Can you kind of talk us through what's going on with the dash up there?
Yeah. For those pilots on the call, you folks will appreciate all of the details here. But yeah, so this is an incredible leap in technology from what I'm used to in the Airbus or even the F-22. Seeing that Lockheed Martin, built the F-22, design, or the concept was in the late 80s, early 90s. Started to build mass production in the 2000s. So these Dreamliners were only built in the past 5 to 7 years. So and literally our planes will be straight from the factory in Charleston. So incredible leap in technology. Like you said, Spin, there's 4 giant displays there in the front. There's actually another display on the bottom part, just in front of the throttle thrust lever quadrant there. So you can see all of our flight management system are completely glass screens. And then starting with our second and about third tail off the factory, they're going to be touch screens. So right now we just use a mouse and cursor, something called the cursor control device there, to manipulate all the screens and the menus. But come 2024, 25-ish, it'll all be touch screens. So that's kind of the way of the future with these large airplanes.
Yeah, for old pilot like me, I learned with round gauges and electromechanical devices. So this is just really exciting to see.
Oh yeah,
is that a heads-up display?
I still love steam gauges. I still fly steam gauges for general aviation. So
I think it's good to learn on, right? But then we need to transition to this technology as well. But that looks like a heads-up display. Is that a heads-up display in front of you?
I was just going to mention that. So this is the first aircraft at Hawaiian Airlines that we've had a heads-up display as a standard option for both the captain and the first officer. So hugely helpful with low visibility operations. Trying to land or take off when the weather is very, very poor, such as Los Angeles with a marine layer, right. Seattle with a rainstorm or whatnot. So that heads-up display allows us to land and access airports, more airports with lower visibility.
Is that like
it'll help?
Troy, is that like a Category 3 ILS type system?
Exactly. So we can go down to that Category 3 system, but we can even go lower than a normal Category 3 minimum takeoff. So it's more useful for a takeoff scenario where we can actually go down to much lower than a standard takeoff visibility minimum. We're still working out the details on the exact parameters of the visibility requirements, but we're expecting it to be somewhere in the 300 to 500 RVR for those pilots on the call. 3 to 500 RVR for that.
Very impressive. So you spoke some numbers of pilots being trained. Can you recap that again really quickly? So you're being trained, and how many others?
Yeah, so 9 of us are qualified currently as instructors and evaluators. And outside of that 9 initial cadre, we have currently in the system probably about 8 to 10 pilots in training and about another 4 to 6 that are already qualified. So, that training pipeline is going to continue to rotate through until we have our first tail in January. And then, of course, the training continue. Yeah.
Prior to that. So getting ready for that first tail to come online, are the cabin crews training as well, or is the whole aircraft crew training?
Yeah, not only the flight attendants, but the pilots, the mechanics, airport operations, cabin crew. Everyone's actually going through training right now to prepare for that first tail. I believe the majority of our cabin crews have already gone through. So we're just in a very significant amount of maintenance has already gone through as well. So it's definitely it's an all-around effort to get this thing going.
Let's see, can we along those lines, can we see slide number 22, please? We have a cutaway from Boeing that shows aircraft folks can see. So on the right-hand portion of this slide, you see a cutaway of the cabin. I guess it's over 18 feet wide. And you can see that looks like the main cabin with 9 abreast seating. And cargo, that's a question we can ask about. So that jet airliners carry cargo in addition to the baggage of the passengers. Are you going to be carrying cargo in your lower decks on your Dreamliners?
Absolutely. I mean, we have 2 major compartments, just like most transport category airplanes. We have a forward compartment and an aft compartment that can fit those ULD containers that are universal to different types of airplanes, transferring from one plane to the other. And so we can load all of those. And then we have also a bulk cargo area in the aft part of the airplane as well to carry smaller piecemeal items. But lots of space in the belly.
Very impressive. Let me see slide 23, please. I have to ask you about this. And we see it in this image here, the dihedral in the wings of the Dreamliner. We can see number 23, please. Slide number 23, please. And here, this is obviously Boeing house colors going into a hangar, but we see these 32-degree swept wings. We see the rake wing, but then when the aircraft is in the air, the dihedral seems like the wings lift up. Is that right, or is that just an optical illusion?
Yeah, no, the running joke amongst the instructors, we call them golf club wings. So they're they're fancy tailor-made composite golf club wings basically. So at rest at 1G 0 knots on the ground, they're kind of just plain and flat. But once you get them in motion and once you start swinging the club airborne, you can see them start to flap their wings and fly. So you'll see a very large difference from on the ground to when it's producing lift. You'll see them rise up quite a bit.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Let's see number 10, please. We've got another shot of that. There you go. It's your colors. The aerodynamics in the aircraft are just really impressive. Wow, that's just neat to see. And let's go back to number 1 again, if we could. There we go. All right, so can you spoke about, we talked about the cabin and how comfortable it's going to be for passengers. How many folks can you carry on the Dreamliner? You spoke about it before, but try to review that again. So what kind of passengers?
Yeah. So total capacity is going to be 300 total. And so what that does is it increases our passenger capacity from our current A330 fleet of 278 up to about, so 300. So that's an increase of 22 passengers. Specifically in our Leihoku suites in the front part of the aircraft, we'll have 34 lie flat seats, and then in the aft part for the premium economy and economy section, we'll have 266. So 266 and 34. Wow.
And what would the cabin crew? What size?
The cabin crew will vary, but typically, we have at least one cabin crew member per 50 people. So, we're expecting math and public here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 6
Okay.
cabin crew as a bare minimum.
Well, I know that the pilots have got to be excited to train to fly this new 787. Are the cabin crew folks excited too to get on a new airplane?
I've actually gotten feedback from our cabin crews already flying, on the line here, that they're really excited. It's going to be a game changer in terms of cabin service, in terms of emergency egress procedures, safety features. They're pretty excited to get this show on the road.
Absolutely. Plus, it'll have that new airplane smell, right? When you get on board. Well,
it will.
Yeah. You were telling me before, Charles, that you've got one tail already that's out there. There's an airplane, and airplane number 1 is somewhere on mainland right now.
That's right. So airplane number 1, believe it or not, was purchased and signed well before COVID. So once COVID hit the world, we had to put a pause on all of our 787 timeline, and so our first tail was completed, and it sat near the paint shop at Kelly Field in San Antonio, Texas, all throughout COVID. So our maintenance crews, both Boeing and Hawaiian, and our flight ops crews did periodic visits to make sure the airplane was still airworthy, run the engines, run the systems, and all that. So basically, our first tail has already been manufactured for now about 3 years. So unfortunately, due to it sitting for so long, Boeing has to make sure it's up to standards now, software upgrades, hardware upgrades, etc. So we've repositioned. Boeing has repositioned that airplane to Seattle, to Boeing Field, and they're now doing some retrofits to make sure it is good to go and airworthy. However, the second plane in our assembly line is coming out of Charleston, which will eventually be our first passenger airplane. So, that aircraft out of Charleston, out of the factory, will be rolling off the factory, ready for pickup mid-January, roughly January 15th. So that will be good to go, and then shortly thereafter will be our Seattle jet already standing by and waiting.
Wow, that's very exciting. So the first tail to be online to operate will be aircraft number 2, and then
That's
aircraft
correct.
number 1 has to have software update. As a pilot, going back to your first early training, did you ever think that you would have to have the aircraft stand by while it got a software update? Isn't that amazing?
No. I mean, especially coming from learning how to fly in a System 172, where
Exactly.
there's no as a software update. You just kick the tires and light the fires. It's not like that anymore.
That's amazing. Let me ask you a question I should have asked before. So on these trans-Pacific flights that the Dreamliner will be flying, obviously it's a two pilot flight deck. Are you going to take on a third relief pilot? Is that something that Hawaiian's looking at?
Absolutely, that is a requirement for those long distance flights. So over a certain number of hours of flight time or flight duty, we'll have to increase our flight deck presence with an additional crew member. So 3 pilots, sometimes even 4 on long flights.
Wow.
Yep.
What can you share with us some of the you might not know yet because your airline is still planning, but can you share with us some of the destinations that we'll see the 787 take us to?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first handful of months, we're going to start our service from between Honolulu and Los Angeles, also Kahului and Los Angeles. I'm sorry, San Francisco, pardon me. So initial flying will be between Honolulu, San Francisco, also Honolulu to Los Angeles. The inaugural flight, I believe, will be Honolulu, San Francisco on April 15th. And then returning from San Francisco to Honolulu shortly thereafter, probably the next day or 2. Additionally, we'll be doing Los Angeles service via Honolulu and from Maui. And then shortly thereafter, we'll stretch its legs and start to fly to New York's JFK Kennedy Airport. And then we're expecting the first international destination to be Sydney, Australia. That's not confirmed quite yet, but that is the kind of the medium range plan right now.
Wow, that's very now from Honolulu to Sydney. What's the flight time?
Well, currently in the A330, it's about 10 and a half hours going southwest bound, going to Sydney, and then about 9.5 coming back. So in the 787, though, it'll be significantly shorter just due to the faster cruise speed. So, we're expecting somewhere between 8 and 9 hours.
That's impressive. So just looking at the Boeing numbers that they, put out for performance, it looks like you're going to cruise at around 0.85 of Mach. And then you already said that your ability to fly at 42,000 feet or in some change. Very impressive. Very exciting.
That's right.
To me, it harkens back to the beginning of the jet age when the Boeing 707s and Douglas DC-8s first came out, how exciting it was just to be on a jet airliner to fly transoceanic, and your Dreamliner seem to be kind of harkening back to that with their technology for safety and efficiency and performance, and then as a passenger, some of the comforts that'll be on there. So it's very exciting. I think you guys should be very proud of what you're bringing on board, and so as folks who fly your airline, we're excited too. How many 787s is Hawaiian going to have in its fleet?
Yeah, we're confirmed already 12 aircraft. Going to be inbound here in the next through 2027. We have the option for an additional 8, up to 20, I believe, currently. So hard to tell what the timeline is for those additional options, but definitely for now, we're confirmed to receive 12. Starting in January, February being the first 2, and then subsequently another 10 all the way through 27. So math and public here. So that's call it 4 years for 8 tails. So yeah, roughly two a year.
Very good. That's very good. It gives the airline time to absorb that, right? With the training schedule and rotating them in to the line. Very impressive.
That's right.
Well, before we get into Q&A, let me ask you the question that I think some of our viewers would like to know about. What is it like to fly for Hawaiian Airlines, to be a Hawaiian Airlines pilot? What's that like?
No, it's great. It is my first Part 121 carrier to be a part of. I have flown on many different carriers throughout the country and the world. Never flown for them, but I've flown on them and with them. And Hawaiian is frankly my number one and only choice to work for and to fly for, just due to their company philosophy, their intentions of taking care of their people, we keep it. It's still a small company compared to all the other legacy carriers. We're
Right.
about 10% of the size of our competitors, but we still provide, in my opinion, a better service. We still provide, air transport to the same destinations with large heavy metal airplanes, and they do a great job at that. So as an employee, I thoroughly enjoy it. They take care of me real well, and again, it's that family atmosphere, the spirit of Ohana that Hawaiian maintains, and they really strive for that. Even though there's, I believe, about 7,000 plus employees, everybody knows everybody. Everyone takes care of each other. And of course, with the 787, it's a shiny new airplane. You can't get much better than that. And so, as a pilot, we're really excited to fly that.
Outstanding. Well, let's see if we have any questions from our viewers. I'll look to Ashley for any questions. So there's a question that you may not know directly, but maybe you can speak to at least indirectly. One of our viewers asked, informing us that United Airlines is dropping Honolulu Newark from their schedule. And we know that Hawaiian does fly to New York JFK. Is there any talk in the airline at Hawaiian about additional flights to JFK or picking up maybe Newark, especially with the new Dreamliner?
Yeah, no, nothing's been confirmed yet on modifications of frequency of the routes. All we know is Currently we have our A330 doing, I believe it's once daily or maybe 5 times a week to New York. So no more than one a day at the most. So currently that's all that's planned. But with the increased size of our fleet, we'll definitely take into consideration once we get more aircraft on the line.
Okay. And you said that the first Dreamliner flight is going to be April 14th. Can you go over that date again?
April 15th, and they're actually selling tickets right now for both cabins. So if you are interested in being part of quite a historic moment for the company, please do go online and purchase tickets.
Very good. We have several folks wanting to know, of all these things we've talked about with the Boeing 787, what is your favorite aspect or favorite aspect of the Dreamliner aircraft as a pilot?
My favorite aspect of the Dreamliner is how Boeing designed such a large transport category airplane, extremely efficient, extremely, obviously size-wise, fairly large airplane. And you'd think, well, it probably flies, like a cruise ship, like real slow, lots of mass moving. It doesn't turn on a dime. It doesn't fly that fast. That is absolutely not true. So from a pilot's perspective, when you sit in that seat, you're not surrounding the airplane. The airplane is surrounding you. And it just feels like, all right, you're sitting there, the HUD is down. It's a very nice hand flying airplane for those pilots on the call. It doesn't feel like a large airplane that that can carry 300 people with a max takeoff weight of 524,000 pounds. Like it does not feel like that. It feels like a very, very responsive, very, very nimble airplane. So that's the best part is it's still feeling like a real airplane, like a sporty airplane, if you will.
That's really an interesting observation, because the aircraft does have fly-by-wire, right? So it's fly-by-wire system, and you're sharing with us that you can feel the airplane as the pilot in its performance. Very impressive.
Oh yeah, it's not a single cable connects the control wheel to the flight controls, but Boeing has designed aesthetic feedback into the flight controls so that you can actually feel what the flight controls are doing.
Very impressive. Let's see if we can move. Oh, can you? We talked about safety features with the aircraft. Can you share some of some of the unique things about the Dreamliner with its safety features?
Safety features of the Dreamliner. Absolutely. So from a pilot's perspective, it's got some advanced software technology for upset prevention. And in other words, there are features built in to prevent the airplane from the airplane to get to a low energy state. So as you get slower and slower, the aircraft has characteristics to make sure you never get below a certain flying airspeed. They also have prevention functions so that you don't overspeed the airplane. They have preventative measures to make sure you don't bank an excessive amount left or right. All that said, as a departure from the Airbus philosophy, Boeing enables the pilot to be able to take full control of the airplane just in case there's any sort of anomaly or inconsistency with the safety of the airplane, so that the pilot can always take over and do the right thing and take care of the situation there.
Outstanding. We spoke a little bit before about some of the navcoms and navigation capabilities of the aircraft. And can you speak to the redundancy in some of the systems of the airplane?
Sure. It is is incredible what they've put into the thought that they put in the airplane. So let's first talk about the electricity, right? So a very, very electrically heavy airplane. So we have a total of two, four, six enormous generators putting out 235 volts AC, two in each engine plus two in the APU. They're identical. So you just need one, and we have six. So just think about that. That's a lot of electrical
Yeah,
power.
that is.
I did read something that it can power a small town for a few nights or something like that. I'm not
That's
sure if that's
impressive.
true. That might be
Very
folklore,
impressive.
but yeah. So electrically, it's got six generators to run the thing in case things go out. Obviously, twin engine airplane. We got two motors. What else? Redundancy, flight control redundancy. We have multiple flight control computers for redundant backups, and for hydraulics, we have three different systems to back all of them up. So it is quite impressive.
All right. You spoke to this before, but folks wanted to hear it again. What is the first, from Honolulu, what will be the first inaugural city destination for the Dreamliner on the 15th of April?
Yeah, so absolutely. Our inaugural flight is going to be the Honolulu-San Francisco flight on April 15th, and it looks like it's going to be Hawaiian Flight 12. So that's Hawaiian Flight number 12, leaving at 1:20 p.m. And for those trying to book that flight online, I believe there will only be one direct flight to San Fran. But if not, look for Hawaiian Flight 12 departing at 1:20 p.m.
That'll be very exciting, very exciting. Hopefully, hopefully those passengers will get like a certificate or something for such a historic event. That's very exciting. Hawaiian should be very proud of that. It's something that everyone here in Hawaii should be really excited about, I think. A question
Absolutely.
here. What, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say our corporate team has a great plan for the inaugural flight. I'm sure it's going to be a big deal, and that'd be a great experience to be there.
I know you guys will do it right, I'm sure. This is from maybe one of our museum pathways students, but question here, what would a current 16-year-old need to do to become a 787 pilot, and how long would it take?
Sorry, you broke up there. Repeat the question.
What would a 16-year-old need to do to become a 787 pilot?
Okay, if you're 16, well, so I'd probably focus on obviously graduating high school first and doing the best you can for that. Believe it or not, if you get the opportunity to take a flying lesson sometime during your junior or senior year of high school, even, or when you go to your following years after that. The youngest age you can actually solo an airplane, a powered airplane, is at 16, and the youngest age to get your actual pilot's license is 17. So, you can get going almost right away for your civilian pilot's license. Now, obviously, to fly 787, you need a significant amount of experience. So, what you would do when the way is open is to start building your experience via increased pilot certificates. Go through your private pilot's license, your instrument rating, your commercial pilot's license. We have schools in Hawaii that offer that. We also have there are schools on the mainland that provide accelerated courses to get to that. And then once you have all of your certificates, now it's time to gain some experience with smaller companies. So a lot of our pilots, you can either go the military route and gain your experience via the military, such as the Air National Guard or the Active Duty Air Force or Navy, or you can go to a regional a regional airline, such as SkyWest or whatnot on the mainland. Gain some experience. Most folks will do that for at least a year to gain some good jet experience, and then they'll apply to Hawaiian. So the minimum currently at Hawaiian, minimum experience is 1,500 total hours, which will take a handful of years to get to that.
Well, with that said, does Hawaiian Airlines offer any programs that a young new pilot can participate in to get into this field and to get on with Hawaiian Airlines, let's say?
Um, that's a good question. Our corporate team is currently working on some partnerships with outside agencies to get that ball rolling. I don't have the exact details on that right now. We can get back to those folks that are asking at a later time, but we are definitely working with specific companies to get some sort of bridge program between student pilots and our pilot pipeline.
And we here at Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum know how critical this is for our nation's critical shortage of airline pilots, pilots in general, and A&P mechanics as well. So we're very cognizant of that. I could just share that Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum has available through the education portal scholarships for young men and women to become pilots and to further their aviation, aeronautical, and aerospace education as well. So that would be a quick stop to the museum website and go to the education platform and see about the scholarships. And we can talk also about our new Pathways program as well. I know this is important to Hawaiian Airlines as well. Oh, here's a question on training. Do you as a pilot want to retire with a certain amount of hours as a pilot, or do you have any goals specific in front of you that you want to achieve as a pilot? It's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question. I think in terms of a quantity of a number of hours, I don't think the majority of pilots have a specific goal in mind, since most pilots have somewhere between a 20 to 30 plus year career in the airlines, and so after a few years of flying long distances, you kind of lose track of exactly how many hours you have. But in terms of the military, in the combat Air Force side of Air Force aviation, specifically, like in the F-22, the F-35, the F-16, and the fighter community, it's a big deal to get to 1,000 hours. So slightly different philosophy in the airlines. There isn't a specific number that most people hang their hat on, but definitely in the Air Force, in the fighter world, definitely 1,000 is a big milestone. But on a side note, I did know a seaplane pilot on the South Ramp over in Hawaii. Some of the listeners might have remembered Pat McGee, who had, I believe, 30,000 seaplane hours.
Wow.
Not even aircraft hours, but seaplane hours. I think he was the highest time seaplane pilot in the world. So I will never get to that, but there are some folks that can meet that threshold. So,
well, here's another one that just came in. As a pilot, if you could add a design feature to the Dreamliner, what would it be?
Ooh, yeah, a design feature to add. Well, I think from a passenger comfort perspective, if space wasn't a premium and if weight wasn't an issue, I think it'd be great to have like a lounge space where passengers can mingle and and have a meal together, like almost like a like a lounge or dining room, back in the Pan Am days.
Sure, that would be pretty impressive, right?
I think it'd be nice if somehow everyone can get a lie flat seat so that we can do ultra long range operations and have a wake up in their destination. But I'm not an engineer, but I don't. Yeah.
Waking up just a little bit, it sounds like the Dreamliner really is a dream jet airliner, right? It has a lot of effort's gone into it to make it right. I think that Hawaiian Airlines has put a lot of effort in to make their Dreamliners right for what it is that you need to do. I'm real impressed with the training that you talked about for the flight crews and the cabin crews and the mechanics and how the airline is ramping up and getting ready for the airplane. It's like I said, it harkens back to the earlier days of aviation. And it looks like I'm looking at the time. I think we're timing out. And so we'll go ahead and conclude here. Thank you so much for being with us today, Charles. Really appreciate your time, your knowledge, your enthusiasm, and just geeking out with me about the 787 and for flying. I'm confident that today has added greatly to our appreciation of the Boeing 787-9 and Hawaiian Airlines effort to bring it to us here in Hawaii. And of course, thank all of you, all of our viewers, for making the time to tune in with us today. Your questions and curiosity fuel our public programs, just like this one. So mahalo for your continued support. From everyone here at the Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum, mahalo nui loa. We'll see you again next time. A hui hou.